The Big Why.
Oh, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Big Why. Today, me and brother Muhammad will be answering some of the toughest questions you, my dear viewers, have in mind. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited for the show.
Ready?
I'm ready. So, what's gonna happen?
We're gonna get a call by someone asking a question, and you're gonna answer it.
Okay, well, make it a difficult one.
Someday we'll get a call.
Alright, there it is.
Assalamu alaikum, the Big Why. Can I have your name, please? And where are you calling from? And the question, please? Yeah. Okay, I'll pass on your question to brother Muhammad and yeah, ma'aslam.
So,
Tough one for you.
really?
It's gonna be a long day.
Let's see.
So Danya from East London asked, who, drum roll, created God?
Who created God? You know what? That's a question I remember asking myself once upon a time when I was younger. Who created God? Because it's a very good question. If God created everything, then who created God? An easy way to try and get your head around this, right? We have to ask ourselves, what is creation? And to answer what is creation, I'm gonna break down everything that you have in your life into three categories. In order for creation to be created, there are three things. You have space, right? So that means there is space right now. There's actual like physical space. You have matter. All of this stuff around us is matter. And we have time. Time is the timeline that everything runs along, and time kind of goes on and on and on and on. So our whole life, our whole existence, this entire universe is wrapped up in those three things, those three dimensions of space, matter, and time. Now, when you say who created God, you see, God created space, matter, and time, and He sits outside of that. He isn't something that was created, because in order for something to be created, it has to have space, matter, and time. That's the only way in our brains can comprehend that something was actually created. Like, let's take this thing right here. This thing, in order for it to be created, it needed space, matter, and time. But God, He's in no space, He doesn't have any matter, and time doesn't confine Him. So He doesn't need to be created. He didn't need to be created. He existed before time even existed. He existed before matter even existed. He existed before space even existed. You see, this idea of who created God means that you're trying to put God in the equation of space, matter, and time, but God sits outside of that equation. Therefore, the answer of who created God, no one created God. God did never get created. Because if you're saying who created God, that means there was a moment that God was created and there was a moment before where God didn't exist. But that requires time, and God sits outside of time. So therefore, God didn't ever need to be created. God just existed, exists, and shall exist. And all of this reality that we live is just a little bubble in this eternity of God.
MashaAllah, that was, in all honesty, before you answered it, I thought you're just gonna forfeit, give up. Just ask Google, call it a day. But you actually understand it.
Yeah? Does that make sense? That's
makes
the most
perfect
important thing.
sense, yeah.
Hopefully to Danya at home that also makes sense.
As always, thank you for watching. Take care. Ma'a salama.
As-salama.
The Big Why.